Salutations, Lisa and John. Jan at the Dance of Light and Senor Wagner. Buenos dias. Oh, and Gary Springfield. Hi. Oh, and Dorothea. Dorothea. Salutations, my divine and sacred friends. Once again, we will discuss what we missed out on last time because of a computer problem. But now here we are. With the mystery, the magic of the star tetrahedron. Come on, star tetrahedron, get into the light. The aspect of divine power and divine love. A light matrix conscious form that we build around it as we begin to balance the divine masculine of power and the divine feminine of feeling. And then as these two triangulations move in opposition to each other in this rapid spinning, it creates the vortex that is within the center of the heart chakra into the void, the doorway. Jesus said, I am the doorway. It's not he, the man, was the doorway. It's the I am is the doorway. I am the void. I am the doorway. I am manifestation. I am that I am. The talk this evening is about emotions and feelings, the subtleties of those qualities. When we first emanated from Source, everything simply flowed upon the wave of the divine in a kind of form of everything was known and expected and harmoniously constructed. There could be, of course, what we might think of, violence with the destruction of stars collapsed upon each other. But the thing of energy within something dies or when anything changes physical form, the energy within goes on and comes into another form and experiences life within another form, gathering more information that expands, which is forming itself over and over in these multiple facets of creation. So in one way, there really is no violence. It can appear that way, but when a form is crystallized or stuck, then something comes along that breaks the crystallized form, the energy is released, and then it gets to experience life anew. Of course, we feel that when we're within physicality, that it is a very challenging situation. Once we reach a level of enlightenment, we truly realize that nothing dies. There's just this form always changing the energy that it is, consciousness, if you will. So in the beginning, we all moved upon this field of pure energy, and then it was time for Source to manifest within form and experiment with free will. And that first dive into physicality, it was just the divine feminine, which is the feeling of the pure soul, which is joy and creativity, imagination, enthusiasm, love, caring, and sharing. And that was the feeling within the endemic state where everything was still within the feeling place of the divine feminine, really living from the heart. The heart, a very interesting instrument in that it can reach out and almost like a gestalt of energy, it simply feels life and then brings it back to the heart and samples it and then again formulates into, well, what's the next feeling of my creation? Not based upon mind, because mind wasn't developed yet. And so everything in the endemic state was still the aspect of divine feeling, which we call the childlike joy of creativity, imagination, love, and excitement. But then Eve, the divine feminine, and again, once again, there's both in every form the masculine and the feminine. So it wasn't just the women, if you will, that ate of the apple of knowledge. It was the divine feminine, the feeling nature that was then imbued with mind, the ability to discern and to judge and understand, which was just the next wave of evolution. So there was nothing wrong with leaving the endemic state, part of the evolution of divine souls, fully now descending into form and creating separation through mind, no longer able to simply feel the oneness of creation, all for purpose. But with the development of mind and the ability to discern and to judge, people began to judge and criticize and using the mind to architect their reality, because they had moved out of the endemic state of sharing and caring and love and feeling. The mind began to believe that, well, if I have certain property and I have certain things in my life, and if I possess this, I'll be better. But at the same time, it created then even more separation from living from the heart, from the feeling nature. And when that occurred, then there was other beings taking from others, hurting others, abusing, and it became the whole kind of violence upon the planet. Once again, part of evolution. When something is stuck and it's violent, then something comes along and destroys it, and it is then in a new form. So if someone in incarnation hurt or harmed someone, well, that individual then returned back another incarnation and they were hurt and harmed. But this then created emotion. So feelings are clockwise spiral of living with source, with oneness, in love, Love, the feeling of the heart. Judgment and criticism and negativity creates a counterclockwise spiral around someone, which is live spelled backwards, or EVIL. Someone is no longer living in the light, one is shrouded in darkness. And once again, nothing wrong with darkness. It was simply the evolution of humanity beginning to learn through choices of free will that if I hurt or harm another, I receive it back. And we then begin to make choices that are really based more upon the feeling of love and joy, because we realize that if I've hurt and harmed, I receive it back. If I steal from another, I receive it back. And so it became part of the adage of the Bible, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, not from a vengeful God, but simply from the soul wanting to gather information about, if I hurt or harm, I receive back the emotion of sadness or anger or frustration or loneliness or fear. But that is the gift of evolution, because as we continue to grow and evolve, we begin to realize that emotions are the gift that Spirit has given us in our evolution. Because if we realize that pain and suffering is so boring, it literally hurts. It's been the dominant thing on the planet. But through pain and suffering, we realize we no longer want to experience it. And so we begin the quest for, well, what is good? what is righteous, what is just. And at first, that's through the mind. In one of the beginning stages of humanity, it was through Moses and the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet. And with the 10 Commandments, you were given a code of ethics that if you followed it, you would then create less harm for yourself and less harm for others. Didn't mean it necessarily worked so well because humanity was so young. Even though the code of ethics was, if you will, intact, not many people were really exploring it or able to embody it. But in the evolutionary journey, it's all about evolution and gathering more information through consciousness. Humanity then moved into the time of Jesus, and he brought forth a new ethic, and that was love. If you love, you then serve everyone else, but you're also serving self. And when you love, you no longer create separation, you no longer create judgment, you no longer hurt. You let to begin to feel from the heart, once again, the endemic state of oneness. But once again, humanity being a very young, if you will, evolutionary journey, not many really, so many people on the planet have embodied the feeling of love. A lot of great masters and teachers and beings who have come along the way that continue to show us that when we do love, we create harmony and joy and peace and happiness. And now we're at the time where we're at the end of the Piscean age, which was really about masculine, somewhat more the false, or we might call it the fallen masculine of manipulation and control and abuse. In the endemic state, we then manifested the feminine of emotion and feeling and brought it to its apex of development. And it was, if you will, surrendered, so to speak. And then we moved into masculine action over thousands of years, or mind of, again, searching and trying with the mind to find and create realities in peace. And of course, we didn't find that it worked very well. And we have now used the mind to manipulate and control the environment and each other and Earth and the political scene. And it's just created more pain and suffering. But once again, nothing wrong with pain and suffering. Those who are in the midst of pain and suffering, they are choosing it because they have a karmic debt with something that they did in an out of balance incarnation that they're now receiving back. So in one way, everything is flowing in perfection and harmony, simply consciousness, gathering more information about if I step out of the divine feminine of feeling heart into manipulation, control, there's suffering. And now so many people are really learning about love that if I come back to using my mind, not as a needing, wanting, desiring, thinking instrument, but through focusing on love and feelings and truth, it then creates more of that in my life, which then creates more peace and happiness and less suffering for self and less suffering for others. And now through the end of the Piscean age, we then come into the age of Aquarius, when we have now moved out of masculine manipulation and once again into the next level of feminine feeling embodiment, able to feel the living waters of truth being poured upon the planet. That is now the Aquarian age. And as we're moving into the Aquarian age, it's the aspect of the divine feminine once again awakening. But at the same time, you see, we have honed our mind through consciousness to be a very, very powerful instrument. And when we, through our meditation practice and through our daily lives, begin to train to be the mind to be a silent instrument, realizing it's not the mind that is going to create peace. The mind is looking for something, and what it's looking for is love. Because love is a feeling, No matter how much the mind possesses or knows, how wise it may be, there's still a feeling that it's looking for. So the mind is not yet silent. But through our meditation practice, we begin to train the mind to be silent and peaceful. And then we can simply, like the projector in a movie, focus the divine mind, attention, light, and power upon the awakened divine feminine of feeling and love, which comes from the heart. Once again, feeling is of the heart. Joy, creativity, imagination, bliss, excitement, childlike qualities, which is the very essence of source, the soul, that each of you is in your divine endemic state. But now through playing within a world of form, we are developing free will. I can now make choices to powerfully focus upon love, which then creates an even more interesting wave of love that was never even kind of experienced before within the universe. And so we are here at the doorway of expanding the universe, because creator beings like you and I and many others, through free will, are able to focus the mind and imagine and feel something that's never been imagined or felt before. Something that arises forth from out of the heart, where source originally emanated from. But now, as a free will creator, focusing the mind upon more interesting possibilities that are based upon sharing and caring and love and support of all of life. And why is it based on the support of all of life? Because we truly begin to feel, once again, the feeling nature. We feel that everything in creation is but myself. As the old Indian philosophy from the Far East, I am that. Well, what does that mean? When you come to the place of consciousness and you truly know that you are love and of love, and it's an experience that is embodied within it, your very core, you're able to look through all the shadows that are out there of people playing dysfunctional lives and dysfunctional displays of something with or for them. But you're able to see through the shadow. You're able to feel through it. And inside of every creation within the whole universe, you'll simply find source. Putting on the play of shadow and light in order to gather more information and consciousness. So both feeling and emotions have played a very important part in evolutionary humanity. It's been over the last, several hundred years, we might say, where emotions have got a bad rap. It was, well, go to school and get good grades, get a job, be a good member of society like your mother and father. But often their lives were based upon more needing and wanting and desiring, not bad people, just not fully steeped in the knowledge of living from the heart 24/7. And so we are programmed with their judgments, their criticisms, their lack of true heart living. But again, as young souls, we are simply asking ourselves from the level of soul to be born into that family unit, into that culture, into that race, into that ethnic group, so that whatever is within it, and we experience challenges or difficulty, that's emotion. But all emotion is simply something in another incarnation that you have imposed upon someone else. You have created them to be angry or lonely or fearful or sad or worried or confused or hateful. And now you're born as a child, which is really the soul, From 0 to 7, we call it a child, but it's really the soul in a small body. So when we say we're doing inner child work, it's really soul retrieval work, in the sense that you're finding any emotion that's within this childlike part of you from 0 to 7 that is still feeling lonely or separate or worthless or sad or confused or frustrated or angry. That's your karma. But you also receive in a gracious family love and joy and creativity, and that's your good karma, the good feeling part of it. It's all this wonderful mixture, like building a cake, some of this and some of that and some sprinkles of this, and there you are. With all the knowledge and all the wisdom in this moment, in this now, within you, to be able to weave your way back to enlightenment and free will, if you're willing to train the mind to be a silent instrument, through meditation and spiritual practices, begin to settle back into the body, because all this information is in the body. Of course, we project it out. And if there's sadness or loneliness, then something we think makes us sad or lonely or fearful or angry. But we're simply projecting it through our aura and looking through the color frequencies of that energy. If you're constantly looking through soiled glasses, you'll see a soiled world. If your glasses are perfectly clear and they have a pink tint to them, everything is love. Because that's the energy field that you have embodied. So all the emotion you see is really the gift of the divine to awaken ourselves back into life and into light. It's part of gathering free will within a dense physical form world that we descended into because we wanted to choose free will. So every emotion you see that we experience, rather than giving it a bad rap and saying, well, that's terrible, I shouldn't be doing that, I'm terrible, and you judge or criticize yourself, which is a program. It's a program you picked up from parental or societal. If you judge and criticize yourself enough, you might grow. Well, that's BS. If you judge and criticize yourself, you're simply piling on more emotion. But from the divine soul, the golden being of light that is your true frequency, the beauty of golden living sunlight, the light of the soul, is when you feel it, again, the feeling nature, not so much thinking about it, but beginning to really feel it flowing in and through the body, it creates a vibrational upgrade. The golden light begins to change the frequency at a cellular, at an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual level. You are simply infusing your form, your aura, with the frequency of the divine soul when you meditate with golden sunlight and peace. If you're meditating with white light, you have a tendency to go up and out, back to spirit, but your goal was to bring spirit into form. But wherever there's white light, it creates its polar opposite of darkness. This is a yin-yang, light-dark world. That's why the frequency of gold, what we call the Christ light, not so much a person, but a frequency of energy, it's the mystical marriage of yin-yang, light-dark, good, bad, and through loving all of those qualities of polar opposite separation, it finds and feels within all of it simply the vibration of source, oneness, and in love, it simply brings harmony and balance to all creation. As Buddha said, living in equanimity, equal with all things at all times, because it's just you. There's nothing other than you. The only you out there that you think is not you is because you're looking through something within your aura that is ignorance. And I don't say that because you're a bad person or there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with ignorance. It simply says you don't really live and understand the truth yet. No judgment. But through diving inside and finding the emotion that you chose as a child, a young soul, and settling through it, not as the mind that wants to examine it or think about it, who did what, when, where, how, and why. The child doesn't understand those concepts. The child understands one thing, the feeling of love, the feeling of connectedness of heart. And so when you're bringing the golden light in and you feel the emotion, either something throughout the day has bothered you, or you feel there's some dis-ease in my body, or something feels out of balance and the light isn't flowing through me, no judgment, just an emotion, an opportunity to bring the golden light and feel yourself settling into it. Once again, the key word, feel it. And as you feel yourself settling into the emotion, you're not judging it or criticizing or disliking it. It's a great packet of information. It's a gift. If you're willing to settle into the gift as the golden light of feeling, it begins to unwrap. As it unwraps and it softens and you settle deeper in, you will only find a part of yourself from 0 to 7 that wasn't loved unconditionally and is looking for that which created it. And what created the child? The divine soul you are that took a holographic piece of its perfection and dropped it down into time-space. And from 0 to 7, the soul is in a small body. But it's also vulnerable because mind isn't developed yet to all the programs of ignorance. But that's the beauty of the things that you emotionally get to ferret out within you. And as you settle through the emotion with love, non-judgment, and now you're symbolically back there in time, space, and here's this truly magical, brilliant child of light, and it's being overshadowed with some ignorant program. There's no judgment or criticism about that. It's simply recognition. I recognize that I was programmed by these individuals or my culture or racial or ethnic archetype. But now you're there, and you, as the divine being that created the child, you are literally opening your heart, and there is this literally wave of golden liquid sunlight from what you have learned to bring into your body, the Christ frequency, the Buddha nature, and it's flowing into this divine child that you created and gave life to. It recognizes its true parentage. This is the mother, father, divine being I am that dropped me into time, space. And now it has returned to so powerfully love me. I literally can, at a feeling level, unite within the body of this being, the divine child, the soul, and the ego becoming the three and the one, which develops then the aspect of the star tetrahedron. Divine power, divine love, and now there is this movement of these opposite vortexes of living light, of triangulations, and the doorway opens within your heart, and you realize, I am the void, I am the doorway, and I am the fields of manifestation. Through free will, I will create nothing but harmony and grace and glory because all is that which I am, source. And this is what we call enlightenment. You become the light. You're not ascending to some realm. You're bringing the light fully embodied within, and your frequency within the worlds of dimensions is light, and the world within the worlds of the higher frequencies of the spirit world, your realm is light. It's simply your light everywhere there is, both non-physical as well as physical. And then you are literally the field of consciousness that exists throughout the universe. Because that's all the whole universe is. It's just a field of consciousness that has learned how to put upon itself form of stars, planets, and galaxies. Within earthly realms, create form through evolution in order for spirit, divinity, to get into form and awaken within physicality. And then as that happens, your feeling nature becomes so alive. The mind is quiet, but the feeling nature, which is the heart, which is intuition, it is every moment reaching out 24/7 all around you in this great emanation of light and consciousness, sampling creation that you're moving through, feeling what's truth, what's wisdom, what's love, what is my next feeling place of becoming, of creating, of being. And as that information comes back and your heart then brings it into your truth, a truth that will support all of creation, you then bring forth a mind of focus and you act upon that feeling truth. And then you create, emanating from you, grace and glory, prosperity and peace and relationship. You're no longer looking for any of those things. You are the embodiment of those things. You are enlightenment. You are the living sun. And when you are the living sun, walking through the marketplace, just as Jesus could walk through the marketplace, and his light, the emanation of his glory, literally seated everyone with life. It was the woman who touched the hem of the robe of this enlightened being, and she became the light. It's just as the sun shines. If you're cold, go out and stand in the warmth of the sunlight. Don't hide away. And that's what happens when we each become the sunlight, which is happening upon the planet quite rapidly now, moving us into this next place of evolution for humanity, for Earth, because we're bringing literally light into Earth. So that's really the beauty of both emotions and feelings, and why they're both playing a very important part in your evolution and the evolution of the planet. So one of the things that we do together to help us culture the feeling of when we're breathing in, we're literally breathing source into this dimension. That with our in-breath, we're really at the doorway within the heart chakra. And on one side is the void. But as we on this dimension are breathing in, we're really on the other side, breathing source spirit out. And so my in-breath is really from the other dimension of within me, source spirit moving out. And as I then out-breath, I am taking all that new energy from source, and through my intention, I am collapsing it into a vibration of golden, liquid, living light. I am the light. And once again, back to in-breath, summoning source from the open doorway. So let's do about 5 minutes of breath, and I'll simply take you through the divine experience. So let's feel the body relaxing. The body is really 99.9% space. It's a field of consciousness. And you can let it relax and let go and expand. You're not disassociating from the body. You're simply consciousness allowing yourself to expand. And then bringing your attention to the heart chakra at the sternum, you can imagine and feel yourself sitting at the doorway of the divine I am. And with slow, deep in-breath, you're breathing from spirit void into this dimension, life and light. And with gentle exhale, you see and feel it collapsing into golden liquid sunlight and peace. And every cell and every part of the body is being nurtured and fed with golden living light. As once again, in breath, summoning source. Exhale, sunlight and peace within and all around. I am the light. A truer statement was never said. I am the light. I summon from the open doorway, I am. Spirit flowing through me like a living water that I give intention to be liquid sunlight and peace, sparkling and effervescent within and all around. And with the in-breath, all the intelligence, all the wisdom of Source is flowing through you. You can invite it to speak to you, to give you information, and then collapse it into golden sunlight and peace. If you are the void, which you are, and all intelligence and wisdom is within, set an intention as you breathe in. I summon the divine intelligence to uplift and magnify that which I am in ever more service and love. And exhale, it becomes golden sunlight and peace, serving you and all of life. I summon that which I am, the pure, intelligent wisdom, all creation flowing through me, that with heart love, I see and feel as golden sunlight and peace. As intelligence and wisdom culturing my life, providing information and opportunities. I am but source, God supporting and loving myself to be more of that which I am, the divine within form. And I choose to name the inflow of life through me. Divine Creator I am, let it be love and wisdom and peace. And out breath, so it shall be. Simply breath, but breath is spirit. As it does say in the Bible, God breathed across the waters and there was life. Because source is the breath and source is the water and source is the light. It's all that you have ever been and all you ever shall be, but now with ever more wisdom and love and free will and choices of creation. I am the divine expanding light and love. And breath is the life of source. That I choose to be divine and sacred, flowing through, from, and all around me. And then very easily now, feeling the joy of sunlight and peace with the expanse of your body form. I am the light. Allowing yourself to slowly come back more and more to the moment of the now. So I'll take you through the meditation. When we, of course, meditate, we simply sit at the open doorway, knowing I am the divine, I am the doorway, and I am manifestation. And we observe beneath us, within and through Mother Earth, the divine feminine, the lower triangulation moving right to left. It's the joy and the peace and the harmony of Mother as Earth and all of her sacredness flowing. And then we imagine, feel above us, the divine masculine consciousness, attention, and light moving left to right. And we sit at the doorway, the vortex. So let us sit quietly together, and I will join with you, and we will create light activation within and all around. And very easy now, coming back into the now. Thank you for participating, and be aware of your emotions. They are the gifts of awakening from spirit, my friends. Blessings.